Hello. Hi, I am Jane Frizzell, and this is Office Hours, which is part of Basic Military Riding, the program I operate that some people think of as Ride Verbatim. Ride Verbatim is more like a policy of the program, Basic Military Riding. I'll talk about that another time. We are here every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, and oftentimes the topic is just up for grabs. However, during this summer of 2025, and today is the first Wednesday of summer, we are going to be focusing on the subject of tense horses, tension in the horses. And there are last summer, excuse me, I've been itch. Last summer, we concentrated on, air quotes, lazy horses, horses that have been deemed lazy or stuck. And we concentrated on that. I don't know if it was 8 or 12 or 10 weeks. I don't know exactly. That is a playlist on this channel that you guys can find if you want to review it. But the reason why I'm mentioning it is because lazy and stuck is the other side of the same coin as frantic, nervous racks that are basket cases. The major, my teacher in Europe, one time called a horse that we had with us in training a nervous rack. English wasn't his first language, so the normal colloquialism is nervous wreck, but he said nervous rack. So ever since then, that's what I've thought of. And basically, this main point I want to make up front is that this corresponds with the other side of the same coin, which is quote lazy or stuck horses. Lazy and a work ethic and response to signal, which is our natural aids are signal, it's information. These things are taught, learned. A lot of times I feel like the horse world, they're trying to find a type that got born innate with certain qualities in it. And of course we do that, but talent has to be developed. And there are slow thinking, deliberate geniuses. And there's also ones that are all over the place, like, oh my God, I'm thinking so fast. So you can't discount one type. And I don't know if this is going to be understandable for you guys, but now here's another thing. Most riders with a little bit of natural innate skill, we tend to like the crazy ones. All of us. I mean, because let's just face it. I think everyone I know was the best rider in their barn when they were a kid, or, one of the best. Like they were at 100 and maybe there was 5 of them. But what I'm saying is everyone in this program and who my friends are and who my colleagues are and who anyone who is able to muster enough interest to pay attention to these important sessions, it's very likely you're one of the best riders in your barn, or the best rider in your barn, or you have a barn and or you become a professional. You are at a top percentile skill rider. Now, most of us, and I don't think I'm wrong in this, most of us we're always kind of good at dealing with the crazy ones, calming them down, getting them to be a little more organized in their going. And for many riders with natural skill, quieting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs horses becomes almost their career. And I am here to tell you that that is really sad. When I don't know if this is relevant, I'm just going to go with it. When I was a very young trainer, I had a crazy cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, naughty bad horse that my boss said, make this horse be better for people. And I had to go to the hospital one time that summer from that horse. So it wasn't a complete disaster. And I had him going pretty well by the time she returned from Europe, which was it was like a 3-month trip or something. And she saw me riding around the horse, and we were going around all, quiet in an organized manner, like we could do a first level test. And she called me over to the boards. We were in the indoor arena. She called me over, and I thought she was going to give me a raise or tell me I was wonderful or something. And she said instead, Jane, that's very clever riding, but trainers make horses that other people can ride. Oh my God, did she burst my balloon? But oh my goodness, what a gift she gave me. Because it really did. It was kind of a slap. But I was young enough and somehow able to hear what she said to me. And guess what? It made me want to do. It made me want to learn and understand more. And then the very next thing, like within the next day or two, one of the horses that had come back from Germany that one of her customers, a wealthy customer, had purchased was when I saw her first riding it, I thought, oh my God, this is like the totally easiest giant pony I've ever seen. Like, who couldn't ride that? Another mistake from me. They asked me would I love to like to ride the horse. What an opportunity. But I thought it would be easy. It was not easy. That horse ran away with me like sideways, like my riding. And I was a good rider. I was the type that everyone, if they had a problem, came to me. I could not ride a beautifully trained horse. And I could feel the wind. I still remember it. The horse's name was Epos. It looked like a gigantic bay round Shetland pony. It came from Johanneman. I can still remember, and it was a really big indoor. I can still remember feeling the wind on my face. There's no wind in indoor arenas. And knowing I was out of control. I did not know how to ride that horse at all. So, and again, just like when she had said, you're a clever rider, Jane, but that's useless. I thought, oh my God, I can't ride Epos. And those two, he goes like a Shetland pony on the bit. And I knew that I didn't really know the riding. So that, and I'd been riding jumpers too. And so that opened the door for excellent dressage for me. And being at the bottom rung of a ladder that I didn't even understand, because then I went and bought the books, and I think I said yesterday in Steinbeck sessions, this book, this was my narcotic. If I couldn't sleep or I had PMS and needed to like snooze and mellow out, I would just read half a page and I would be asleep. For years, I didn't understand it. Now, okay, see it's falling apart. Can you see how do I get it for you? This is my second one. And now I didn't understand this until I had been pretty well trained. But then I would read it and go, yeah, 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 yeah. Super obvious to me now. And now it's like having a friend who, oh, yes, that's exactly what it feels like. Yes, that's just what it's like. Anyway, I'm bringing all of this up because no matter how good a rider you think you are, you're not. You have to be trained. Heidebrecht says it in the epilogue of Gymnasium. This is Gymnasium. If you're not in this program, you need to get the reading list, and you can find how to get the reading list. And it's a reading list for every horseman. It's not, if you are a horseman, you must have this reading list. It is the most vetted, carefully planned out reading list of history. You can get the instructions for how to receive it on the website. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, Van Heidebrecht even says that fine feel, if the seed for it is present, he's talking about a rider's fine feel, if the seed of it is present, must be developed and trained. The horse world is filled, especially with this new internet horse world, with the influencer dynamic. This horse world is filled with partially trained riders, or even worse, totally untrained riders who have an ear for good text from a master like that, and who have a knack for writing, not riding. Because when any trained rider has had this happen to them, they've thought they were a good rider, and then they found out that they didn't know shit. And then you learn. That's when the learning starts. That's when training starts. There is a very big difference between being a good rider or a rider with some natural feel, the seed of it is present, and being a trained rider. So why am I saying all this? Because I was good at the cuckoos for Cocoa Puffs, tense horses. It would be like, and there's nothing in it for you or anyone or me to be good at that kind of horses, because if that's only kind of horse you're good at, that's like being a law enforcement specialist who's good at talking crazy people out of a hostage situation, or someone off a roof ledge. It's not the kind of communication that is useful for enterprise and tasks and forward going harmonious relationship. It isn't. It's like dating bad guys. You have to learn to you have to in a way learn to like the good ones. Anyway, that's just another analogy. I'm going to keep going here. And why am I bringing all this up? Because what happened in my experience, and I think it's a true experience of many trained riders, is I was good at the crazy hot horses, and I could not unlock or figure out how to make the sleeping beauties activate and how to ride the sleeping beauties, the quote lazy or stuck ones. And I knew it was me, because then I wound up working. Then the next person I worked for was very renowned, very excellent horses. It was actually a horse from Rabine, and I couldn't do any. I could barely make the horse do anything, and he would just like shake his head and get on the horse. And I mean, he would just swing his leg over the horse and sit, and the horse started dancing. And I was like, what? Like, the horse would do everything, the whole Grand Prix, like with a smile, like the whole thing, like beautiful. And I couldn't get the horse to do anything. Nothing I did was right. And like I said, I was a really good rider, like lots of ribbons, like you hunter girls. You think you're so good. You aren't. You do not know. You don't know what you're doing yet. And most of you are never going to try, are never going to find out because everyone's telling you you're good. Oh, thank God. You know, that one woman told me that I was a clever rider and made me know that wasn't a good thing. And then horse after horse, Hanneman, Rabine, Mikulka horses, all put me in my place. I had no idea. Anyway, when finally it was a jumper named Valiant. And Pam Goodrich, who is I don't think she's Canadian, but I think she might have been married to a Canadian. But this is a long time ago. This is like 30 years, at least 30 years ago. A jumper named Valiant, another one of those stuck boys that wouldn't go, would just put his head in the air if I wanted anything. That was one of my first big breakthroughs, understanding how the stuck ones, how to ride the quote lazy horses. And with that horse, there was others too, but that is one I remember, Valiant. Like I really started to understand how to ride the horses that were prone to being stuck, because what they get stuck from is a resistance. They hit a resistance. And so those boys just go, can't do it. Sorry. Not doing it. There's a resistance. Now, Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs hits the resistance and goes, oh my God. Oh. So it is a different result from the same problem, and that result is resistance. And guess what the most uh universal resistance is just basic tension. So last summer it was the lazy sleeping beauties, because when they rouse, they're beautiful. Some of the most beautiful famous horses are that type. And then there's the other side of the coin, the frantic cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, nervous Wracks basket cases, that we are going to notice this summer how to bring them to a state, a reliable, steady state and metabolic calm. And it's from the same way that we activate the lazy. I want to make sure I'm using air quotes for that. The same way that we activate the lazy ones with calm, forward, straight riding, same exact way makes Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs better. And then it becomes a Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs that other people can ride. So it's not just clever riding or me being the hostage negotiator, being good to talk to psychos. You see what I mean? Oh, I hope that makes sense. I kind of was winging it extemporaneously. Extemporaneous is a word I learned a couple years ago and is, in my opinion, a euphemism for winging it. But I'm not winging it because I really do know this topic. So our summer's topic is Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, nervous rack, basket case horses, and what changes them. Because we're not just talking about like how to ride them or get through a day. We need to convert them through training into being reliable, have a reliable, steady state, and be happy horses in their way of going. And on that note, I'm gonna assign anyone who's listening to this, is take it upon yourself to find out, and it's a little hard because the FEI, it's going to be a little bit of a scavenger hunt for you to find this, because the FEI website has become super Byzantine since they've become more woke and are into influence and all that crap. So finding all the articles and rules of the sports are not as accessible as they used to be, but hopefully some of you will have enough mettle and perseverance to find for yourself so you can read Article 401. Dressage Article 401 from the FEI, aka the Happy Horse Rule. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's basically, I mean, it's a legal document. The FEI articles are the rules. And 401 is the overarching theme of what the judges should be observing in the dressage. Now, of course, we know that's been just blown to shit because all of the short-necked basket cases that win sometimes. But you yourself, whether the judges know about the Happy Horse Rule, you need to know about it. It should be, it's about a page, and it should be something that you become very familiar with. I'm trying to decide right now whether to share an anecdote. I think I will. So when the whole brouhaha, when really tense horses and the whole over deep trauma began in the horse world, that was around, it was around 2000, really. It was when Anke von Grinsven was showing Bonfire, and so Holland was beating Germany, and there was a lot of ubehe, which is Danish for upset, over like how can these tense horses be winning? These tense, over deep, curled horses be winning, and so the controversy and the sort of showcasing of Article 401, the Happy Horse Rule, was a big topic of conversation in the horse world and was on the cover of St. Georg magazine, which is the German horse world's big dressage magazine. And I was in the US for a spell and was having lunch, was invited to lunch by a judge who was at a judges forum in the city I was in. And there was no tables, and so we wound up sitting at a big table filled with US judges, because we couldn't get our own table. Like 12, like a long table. And so, normal manners, introduce yourself, blah, 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 blah. And so I wanted to know what they were all thinking about Article 401. This is at a judges forum, a table full of judges at lunch. I think I'm supposed to look at here. None of them knew what I was talking about. And several of them glared at me for bringing up something that they weren't aware of. All of you, anyone listening to this, it is incumbent upon you, and the onus is on you to be aware of these things. And even if you aren't doing dressage as your primary sport, you need to know what's in Article 4, FEI Article 401, also known as the Happy Horse Rule. Now, what I want to talk about today, it's a very explicit list. There are 9 signs of this metabolic calm. And I want you guys keep remembering calm, forward, straight, calm, forward, straight, calm, forward, straight, calm or loose. That is the starting place, whether the horse is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs or is a lazy, asleep, sleeping beauty. Loose, calm. You cannot, like, no aid, nothing is going to go through unless there's that. And this loose condition is physical and mental and emotional. And when I say physical, I'm talking about every physiological system in both organisms, horse and rider. So, I mean, I have muscle, obviously, but I am very soft. I'm, I do not have, I'm not, my muscles are not in a state of contraction at all. I'm squishy. So, the decontracted condition of a healthy muscle that's been in use is, we could get someone who knows how to explain this better than me. That is even going to contribute to the overall metabolism of the horse, to like the constituents of what's getting secreted into the blood. Literally, body chemistry is going to be affected by training loose, forward, straight. Loose being first of all. So loose is in every physiological system of the horse, skeletal, connective tissue, flesh, because I'm just thinking of the circulatory that goes through and flesh, which also has embedded in it the nerves that inform the muscles. See where I'm going? The whole horse. And when the condition of a whole horse being loose, the Germans called Schwung. I'll put a link to the glossary that has all of these terms spelled out, the way that the masters used these terms. Schwung. So that's when all of the tissues, and then of course the muscles. So I just ended with flesh that's got blood vessels and nerves running through it. And then there's the muscles themselves that are made up of spindle cells. So if the spindle cells are contracted, they can't be used again. And they also are not going to have a healthy and complete range of motion. And I'll get into that more another time. But I want you to start thinking about the whole horse and also the rider. The rider, horses go as they are ridden, and the horses, especially trained ones, tend to exactly demonstrate the riding that is imposed on them. So if the riding is soft, straight, and has a forward mind, the horse will too. But let's make this a big point for today. The looseness, the softness, the relaxation is learned. Yes, it's nice if we start with a person or a horse who by nature is calm or quiet, but we're not. You're the best rider in your barn when you were a kid. You look for the frisky athletes, and guess what? A lot of them are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs until they're not. So we train looseness. It's a deliberate thing we train. If they're already that way, we still train it so that deliberate loosening becomes part of every phrase in the way of going and that we ride. All right, I'm going to go. Oh my God, I've been talking. It's an important topic. It's a wonderful topic. These are fantastic horses. These basket cases are usually brilliant. Okay. Now, if you're just out about in the world or you're more novice and you're just wanting to start to be able to identify if a horse is properly loose at the beginning and be able to see it, there are 9 signs. These aren't my signs. These are very old horseman 9. This is old true stuff. 9 signs of loose and relaxation. The horse's eyes will blink. Sometimes you will even see, I have one bad eye, this is my bad eye right now. but sometimes you'll see them almost press. They're not going to be like, why, gah. I mean, you see a lot of that too. It's like Jaws. But the this happy horse condition, Article 401, a loose, soft, relaxed horse, they are going to have eyes that blink. Number two, they're going to blow their nose and they're going to have a regular breathing, but they will blow their nose. The nose blow from a horse is a sign of contentment. Number three, you know what? I'm going to switch these. The lips and the flews, which are the sides, the horses have such meaty, big, yummy lips, right? They're not going to have any like smoker's wrinkles or are we going like this? And there's going to be a gentle chewing. And you can sometimes hear the bit. There's a difference between grinding on the bit and what horsemen call a bit chink. So if the horse has two bits in the mouth, sometimes he's soft, so they'll sort of chink into each other. Or maybe it's a Springer bit with an extra piece, so the pieces will sort of chink, but it's a soft chink. It's very different from a grind. You will hear those things. And along with that, from the mouth, there will be natural saliva drooling. The horses should drool some. Sometimes there is increased saliva production, which isn't so much about the mouth, but it starts to have more to do with the horse carrying itself from its top. It's kind of gotten itself long over the top. So this throat latch, the Ganesh, where you're supposed to be able to fit three fingers between the cheek and where it connects there. But oftentimes they can't, they call it like an elephant. Ganesh is Indian, I think, for elephant. When there's pressure there and the salivary glands are those, I think they're not muscles. I think that's bulging, getting squished salivary glands. So the salivary glands, when the horse starts to be loosely working properly over the top and using himself better, they recede back into the throat and just sort of start to drool, and the horses get all drooly. Okay. And in the front of the horse, what you will also notice, and some you will notice more than others. Who remembers George Williams's mare I think it was about 20 years ago. I'm going to ask Roberta. She went to the Olympics. I'm pretty sure they went to the Olympics. Like it was a very known mare. Oh my God, I loved her. I can't believe I forgot her name. She had those floppy ears, like doity 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 doity. So the ears being soft and she had the extreme, really great, they call them dressage ears, really bouncy ears. It's actually because the nuchal ligament running up the top of over the neck, just like, there's no tension in it. And so the ears attached, they just start to bounce with the going. So see, these signs that that I'm talking about right now, you can't you can't put sugar cubes or fluffernutter on your horse's mouth to simulate saliva production. That's not what I hate the word holistic because it's so overused by the new agey idiots. But it is holistic because it's all of the systems functioning as well as they can. The eyes are blinking, the eyes, they're not dry eye, there's blah, blah, blah. So now let's move to the other parts of the body. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6 is the tail of the horse. It won't be clamped or switching. It's going to be gently lifted And it's going to be just bouncing according, if it's walking, it's going to be going boing, boing. If it's trotting, it's going to be gently bouncing, because it is a tell, just as the ears are telling us about the conditions of the connective tissue at the atlanto-occipital junction. Did I say that right? Just as the ears flopping tell us about the condition of that junction, the tail is telling us about the condition of the horse's spine. It's it's like the end, and it's just going la 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 la. The hips of the horse, if you're behind the horse, they gently, you're going to see one, especially in trot. You're going to see a little lifting. And then you see that tail bouncing in between. Seeing a horse, a very well-trained horse, that you see all these things going on, it's not common. It's not seen often that you see all 9 of these. But what I'm going to be proposing to you, if you want to get involved and follow these office hours through the summer, and maybe start training very well and properly, you must, we prove things in our training, and you must have all 9. All right. So the hips, the tails, believe. Number 8 is that the horse will have a gentle gas releases, and or a gentle bowel movement. So we all know that, and hopefully they can just have a release of their bowels in their going. They don't have to stop and strain. It's like, it's just everything's opening up and letting go. And letting go and being tension free is very much one of the big ideas behind the German word Losgelassenheit, this looseness. Okay. And in order to help you remember number 8, the bowel movement or soft gas releasing, I'm going to tell you an old European horse dealer joke. And here's the joke. Horse dealer says, "What do you do with a horse who won't poop in the warm-up?" Answer: sell it to the Americans. Okay, so that's very I told you guys that joke because what I want you to understand is how through this knowledge about what a real relaxed loose horse looks like, and that a lot of people don't know, they are buying the horses that don't poop in the warm-up. Okay, now I want to say, I feel like this is the number 9, the symptom or quality of a loose, calm horse, that a loose, calm, trained horse, at least well started, it doesn't have to be all the way trained, horse with some right ideas going on. I feel like this is the best litmus test of all. And I can't tell you, sad to say, how many people I've busted not able to perform this final test. If you're going to go shopping for a horse, I really do recommend you try this. A calm, loose horse with this technical calm condition goes forward on a long rein. meaning that if you are, so let's say you're walking along on the buckle and you say trot, the horse will trot. He will not, there are very many wrong trained horses and a lot of them with tension that won't go until the whole situation has been packaged. So those are the 9 signs of relaxation. I'm going to think it over whether I'm going to put those in the description or not. Probably not, because if you are a sincere and serious rider, you will either already know them or want to write them down. So me writing them down for you, I'm thinking no,